my darlings. So, I started reading the Cozy Witch Mysteries by Angela Pepper. I bought the bundle with 8 Cozy Witch Mysteries. I bought it on Kindle for 99 cents as the the time I'm speaking to you. And I'm very happy with the sale. It's a pretty good bang for a buck. Like, it's a pretty good deal. 99 cents each books. And I wanted a cozy mystery series to read with my mom. So I looked at the ones I have, and this one was in my Kindle waiting to be read. I read the options to my mom. I had the synopsis, and she got interested into this one. So I'm reading with my mom the cozy mysteries with her. So we started the Wisteria Witches. That's book 1. And so far, it's pretty delightful. It tells the story of Zara. There is this lady that's moving to the small town of Wisteria with her daughter Zoe, and the house that she's moving in is said to have a ghost. And she meets quirky neighbors, like handsome neighbor Chad and his little 10-year-old son. And so far it's pretty delightful. Some weird things start happening, like she lost some time. She thinks she fell asleep in the sofa and woke up at 3 a.m. with bonitos. Might be a spirit possession there, Bessie. But yeah. So some weird stuff is happening, but I don't get the sense of it being ominous. There's into some paranormal stuff, but it's pretty chill. So far it's pretty chill. That's what I want a cozy mystery I'm reading with my mom to be. I want it to be pretty chill. And we've read, like, it flew by. I put it down because my cell phone battery was at this end, and I needed to put it down. We read like 60 pages in a row, and my mom doesn't speak a lick of English, so I'm reading to her in English and simultaneously translating it to Portuguese. That's the language that she speaks. And she loved it, and I loved it so far. So far it's pretty chill, like nothing much happened. They arrived at this new town, they moved, they met Chat. They talked a little bit about Sarah's origins as a internet sensation. She was a can girl in the internet. So she had a blog, and so far so good, pretty chill. like doing the math, it seems that Zara was a teen mom. Like doing the math, um, she mentioned earlier that for 32 years of her life, nothing happened, and her child is turning 16 in the beginning of the book, so I don't know if they're gonna address it or not, but it seems like doing the math that either Sarah was a teen mom or I got it wrong. The characters so far are pretty likable. Zara, she has a sense of humor. She's inside her own head making jokes a lot. Um, Her daughter is a teenager, is a typical nerdy teenager. She has the eye rolling and sarcastic nature, but she also has like she's um a nerdy teenager. She wants to go to school. She wants to get good grades. She held she held trivia contests with the neighbors' kids. So it's pretty interesting so far. I'm gonna keep reading. I'll come back to you and report on it. So I read more of the Wisteria Witches. So far it's been delightful. The plot has started to show its head. Like we had in this part, um, Sarah meeting her aunt, Lenny, um, and they look alike. They look like twinsies. Only Zinni likes Auntie likes flowers a little bit too much. Um, and there was a ghost possession. So in this part, Zara is possessed by a ghost, and the ghost throws a toaster in the water and gives her the biggest shock. And the only reason she didn't die is that this is a cozy mystery. So, so far, so far it's delightful. I want to know what the ghost is gonna do, where this is going. Zara didn't take the news that she's a witch very well. Her daughter's always liked better the news that she's a witch. Um, and they are now young witches in training. So Auntie explained that um, Sarah didn't get her powers as usual when she was 16 because she got pregnant when she was 16. So it got pushed to when she was 32. What if she had been pregnant when she was 32? She would have not gotten her powers again, I guess. Is it possible for a witch to never get their powers because they are having kids? Can men be witches in this universe? So many questions. Uh, so I'm waiting for some answers. So far, my mom found it delightful. We read like 65 pages. Uh, it flew by pretty fast. It was pretty delightful. So I'll keep reading and I'll keep you guys informed. The Wisteria Witches book is delightful. The more I learned about um, the ghost of Winona, the more I like her, and I want to know what happened. So apparently, there's been hints this book that Winona didn't actually die in her sleep. Um, the the little boy of the neighbors um, carving said something about, like, apparently he sees ghosts and says something about murder. And the other neighbor, said something about Winona died as a result of a toaster in the bathtub. And then the book has a bit of uh, a a problematic an anti-PSA, let's say, uh, uh, public disservice announcement. Let's say it says that you can't die as a result of a toaster falling in the bathtub, that your electrical system shuts down before that. And like, please don't take that seriously and don't put any toasters in bathtubs. It's gonna die. But for the purpose of the story, I'm going to believe that um, Winona did not die as a result of a toaster in the bathtub. So, how did she die? And here's where the mystery comes in. And it's fun, like, it's really fun. Um, we don't know who did it, what they did it with. Was it supernatural? In this book, there's a possibility that the culprit's supernatural. So all rules are off. Who killed Winona? And it's really fun. I have more questions than answers, and I really have no theories about who killed Winona, except my only theory is that whoever kills Winona put her body after in a bathtub and threw a toaster in there. Um, so they thought she died as a result of an accident. And it has to be someone who knew her, if the neighbor is to be believed, the neighbor with the Labradoodle. Um, there's a neighbor with a Labradoodle that said that she made Pop Tarts in her toaster near the bath. Um, so it has to be someone who knew her to have this setup of throwing her toaster in the bathwater. And I don't know if Winona wasn't a witch. I think Winona was a witch. There's hints of Winona being a witch, so who knows? I knew there was something supernatural about Chet and his family. Chet is a wolf shifter, and his family is all supernatural too, I guess. We haven't had the reveal yet, but I would wager Grandpa Don and Carving are also um, shifters in some shape or form. Or carving has some medium powers. So yeah, dreamy guy, chat. Um, we perfect match for Zara. Really. I finished reading Wisteria Witches, and I found that I could have guessed who the killer was. Not that I did guess who the killer was, but if I wanted, I could have guessed. Oh, the clues are there. My mom didn't try to guess either. We were just reading to see where it went. So I'm gonna talk now about the killer. So spoilers. If you haven't read it and you don't wanna know who done it, click away now. um so it was just, I gotta say, it was a delightful experience. There was plenty of supernatural things going on. So I didn't know which way this would go. Like I didn't know if someone would have charmed the toaster to walk and throw itself in the bathtub. So I was on the lookout for a supernatural element, a supernatural solution. But when Zara throws a dinner party, she reunites all the suspects. So the book is hinting at you that the killer is in the dinner party. And over the next pages, the book gets explicit. The ghost of Winona van der comes in to tell you that there was a killer dinner. There was a killer at the dinner party. She writes in the mirror when Sarah is taking a shower. Killer dinner, and you are such wondering who it is, because the most obvious suspects, the people with most obvious motives are not um exactly the people you want to suspect. That is the heirs of Nana Vandersam are the neighbors, the Moors. So you have Cat Moore, who inherited her properties, and Domar, that was her lover, and the little boy of the Moor that can see ghosts, and those are the most obvious suspects. But those are not. You are disinclined to suspect these ones. I know wasn't gonna be then, because Cat Moore is the romantic interest, and in the synopsis for this book, I read that he was gonna stick around. So I had a feeling that if he was going to be in jail, he wasn't going to be the culprit. So the other people that were suspicious, like the other most obvious suspects, because it was someone who was hiding something, was Zina Hiddo, Zara's aunt. There is a witch. She wrote a book with the deceased, and she was hiding a lot of secrets in this book. But again, like using logic of where this is going, because Xenia is one of the main characters. Is in the synopsis. in the beginning of the book, I knew she wasn't the culprit. Even though she was sus. She was really sus. Um, this book. So, um, this left a few other people. Like, this left the co-workers at the library. We have a weird one that looks like an owl. We have the person with pink hair, and we have um, the real estate agent, and those are our main suspects. Those people are our suspects, and the chief librarian, didn't really have a motive. He was a suspect because she is shady in a way that might be a shifter, and Zara was attacked by a giant bird that is there only and only. The only reason it's there, it goes nowhere. The only reason it's there is to make the head librarian a suspect. Because it is a mystery for another book. We never found out who is the giant bird shifter. If it is a shifter, who sent it, why it's attacked them. There's a throwaway line somewhere in the book where Chet is like, I talked to my employer and it was a big misunderstanding, no harm, no foul. And I'm like, what the hell? You were almost killed by that thing. But whatever. So the only purpose it's there, the big battle of the book, the big dramatic point of the book is to reveal Chet is a shifter and to make the head librarian suspect. Um, the guy with pink hair did have a little envy of the house and a more catchy relationship with Winona, but he didn't have a strong motive either. So uh, by the time the reveal came along, it was clear that was something to do with the house, but I was wondering, like I said, I didn't call it. So I was wondering how they were going to justify it being the real date agent. He was the culprit, or if it was going to be a supernatural element. It was going to be some out of the blue solution that you couldn't have guessed. Um, and um, the Zara has a insight. She has an intuition, and she figures out of the blue, and she explains her thought process later that she thought uh, she had seen, she had mentioned in the beginning of the book that the real estate agents tried to sell her her house when she went to look for Winona's house. She wasn't very interested in selling her the house she actually ended up buying. Made She keeps calling her to get the book. Dorothy, um, the worst real estate agent in the world. And Um, it turns out it is because she heard a humor that the house was magic, and she wanted it was a fountain of youth, and she believed Winona was magic and was withholding her powers from her and her mom, who had been her friend for years. And she wanted to live in the house that was a fountain of youth. But Zara had no way to prove it, so she makes a whole ruse to get Dorothy to confess. Dorothy, the real estate agent, to confess. She pretends to marry Chet up to the last minute, and she stages a whole ghost possession as as she goes to the agency where Dorothy works, and they go there and they pretend they are interested in selling the house, and she fakes a whole ghost possession and scares the crap out of Dorothy until she confesses to her crime in front of a security camera. Um, and like, turns out Dorothy isn't magical. The toaster was um, upgraded using technology. They put some little fixes to so the toast would heat itself um, out of the the surfaces into the bathtub, and they installed a security camera so they could know when Winona was in the bath making Pop Tarts. And they installed um, Darcy and the guy she hired to do the changes in the appliance, installed another power source that I assume fried when it fell in the bath with Nona, with extra power, and then fried for good because Zara got shocked by the toaster falling in the sink full of water and is still alive. So I'm guessing she didn't get the full brunt of the shock of toaster. And I actually surprised the toaster fell into the bathtub and it worked the whole book as if nothing had happened. Like, why did the toaster work? Did they send it to repair before they sold the house? How did she inherit the toaster? Um, is the real mystery of the book. How was the toaster a piece of the house that she got if it wasn't a magical toaster that fixed itself? So yeah, this is a bit of an unexplained thing, but overall it was a decent mystery. I like the fact, like, I've read some recent cozy mysteries for this channel that didn't have a structure where you could guess who did it. So I liked it in this one you actually could guess who did it. All the clues were there for for who did it. You just had to pay a lot of attention to some throwaway lines that weren't actually said in context where you would pay attention to them because they were interactions that Zara had outside of investigating the case. They were interactions she had before she even knew the case. We get to know that Dorothy tried to sell her her own house because she wanted to sell Zara her own house so she could buy the Hedwig house with the money. And you find that out before you know that the house had a murder in it. Your only clue that it's going to have a murder for this book at that point is that the book opens saying my house came with a ghost. Some people would pay extra for the ghost. But at first, when the book starts, the person who reports Winona's death to the main characters is the neighbor, Chad Moore, the romantic interest neighbor. And he says Winona died peacefully in her sleep. So you only find out there's a murder mystery like about thirds through the book when a neighbor is walking with the dog and he lets escape that Winona dropped the toaster in the bathtub. So I don't think I could have guessed this in the first read through, um, not knowing the rules. But I was happy to know that it was possible. I just didn't think too hard about it. And as always, I don't feel comfortable rating the book because I think indie authors work with a variety of available resources. You have the indie authors who have a little company and they, uh, as far as I know, this book is indie. I don't know, I haven't seen a publisher in the book, but as far as I know, this book is indie. And um, indie authors worked with a variety of resources, and they might have a small company and a decent budget and a little team to do marketing and editing and stuff, or they might be doing this from their mother's basement as a way to to express themselves. This one, so I don't feel it's fair to compare the the two situations. I would say that it was an enjoyable book. It was exactly the experience I was looking for to have with my mom. I wanted a cozy mystery to read with my mom, so we would have a fun time. And this book was plenty of fun time, even though it got me in hot water a lot of times because I am reading. The book is in English. As far as I know, it doesn't have a translation to Portuguese. but my mom only speaks Portuguese. So I am reading in English and simultaneously translating it to Portuguese. And this book has a lot of puns and a lot of language related jokes that don't translate well. So there was a lot of, okay, she says this and it means this and it doesn't make sense in Portuguese, but here is the joke that they make. So I try to adapt several things on the fly, and sometimes I would just um adapt something and skip the joke and have to go back and correct it. Like there was a joke here and I didn't say it. Uh, and here's the joke. It doesn't make sense in Portuguese. But if I were to translate this book, I would be frying my brain cells, trying to find Portuguese equivalent to some of these jokes. There were even like fun facts. There was a moment in this book that the co-worker with pink hair, Frank, is like, oh, here are three words to describe three different words to describe a group of geese. You use this one when they are on the ground, a gaggle when they are on the ground. Use this one, I don't remember what the word is, when they are finding information, and when they are a close knit group, use this one. There are not, as far as I know in Portuguese, three words to describe a group of kids. So I had to So I had a lot of explaining. Was a good 15 minutes explaining to my mom. So there's three words for groups of geese in English. It doesn't make sense in Portuguese. When you use when this happens, when you use when this happens, when you use when this happens. And it wasn't, the joke lost its punch. But there were a lot of jokes. Like I noticed there were some laughter as well. There were a lot of jokes that translated well, even doing a simultaneous reading. It was, there were a lot of jokes that stuck. So it was an overall good experience. It was cozy and it was a mystery, and um, it was relatable because the protagonist is a mom and she has a good relationship with her daughter, so my mom related, and the protagonist is like my age, so I related. um and it was overall a really enjoyable book. So my evaluation of this book is positive. But I am really bad booktober. I don't give ratings. I guess that booktubers give ratings because most of them are on Goodreads, and on Goodreads you have to put like the 5 stars. Um, but I just talk about the books and make recordings for for posterity of little gems I found for prices I actually can pay, or on YouTube or on Amazon, and talk about them. So yeah, my verdict That was a pretty good book, and I hope you have an awesome day. See you guys in the next video. Now I gotta go record the intro for this video.